Stargate Project. During the Cold War, the US was terrified the Soviets were ahead in everything, even psychic warfare. The rumors spread that Russia had been training people to use their minds as weapons, reading classified documents, finding missiles, even killing with a thought. So the US government responded by launching its own top-secret program. They called it remote viewing, the ability to see a distant location, another country, another continent, using only your mind. Agents were trained to sit in dark rooms and empty their thoughts. They were given only vague prompts like coordinates or hints and asked to describe or draw what they perceived. The creepy part is that sometimes it actually worked. In one declassified session, a psychic described a Soviet military site in precise detail, including the number of gantry cranes and missile components, days before satellites confirmed it. Another viewer described a hostage's exact location in Lebanon, which helped narrow the search. The program ran for over 20 years, but by the 1990s, the CIA claimed the results were too inconsistent. The program was shut down, or that's what they say. MK Ultra. In 1950s, CIA decided to experiment with mind control, but not just any mind control. They wanted to bend people's minds, make them do things against their will, and they were willing to go to any lengths to make it happen. This was Project MK Ultra, and it was terrifyingly real. Starting in 1953, the CIA secretly funded hundreds of experiments, often on unwitting civilians, with one goal in mind: control the mind. They used LSD, hypnosis, and even sensory deprivation to see if they could create super spies or manipulate people's thoughts without them knowing. The experiments were brutal. Prisoners, mental patients, even ordinary citizens were secretly dosed with LSD. Some were drugged without any idea of what was happening, while others were subjected to torture-like conditions to see how much mental stress a person could endure before cracking. One of the most notorious aspects of MK Ultra was Sub-Project 68, where they combined LSD with sleep deprivation and hypnosis, creating a sort of nightmare where the boundaries between reality and illusion completely blurred. Some even believe that the CIA was trying to create mind-controlled assassins, people who would carry out missions without knowing they were doing it. The program was officially shut down in the 1970s, but not before a shocking number of people were affected. Many records were destroyed, but enough survived to confirm the horror that was MK Ultra. Acoustic Kitty. In the 1960s, the CIA launched one of its strangest attempts at spying, a program nicknamed Acoustic Kitty, which aimed to turn a cat into a living surveillance device by implanting tiny microphones and radio transmitters into its body. Technicians experimented with surgically placing equipment near the cat's ear, training it with sound cues, and attempting to guide it toward targets. Field tests were chaotic. Cats did what cats do, wandering off, chasing birds, or reacting to traffic. When the first operational cat was released, it got hit by a taxi, after which the project was quietly abandoned as impractical and too costly. MJ-12. In 1984, leaked documents surfaced claiming the US government created a secret group called Majestic 12 to handle everything related to UFO crashes and aliens. According to the papers, MJ-12 was formed right after the Roswell incident. The Roswell incident happened in 1947 when an unidentified flying object reportedly crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. The US military first said they recovered a flying disc, then quickly changed the story to a weather balloon. The Majestic 12 group supposedly included top scientists, military officers, and government officials. Their job was to recover alien craft, study extraterrestrial technology, and keep it all hidden from the public. The documents mention real people, like the first CIA director, and look like authentic government memos. That made them convincing. But no one knows who actually leaked them. When they went public, the FBI launched an investigation. They didn't say the documents were fake. Instead, they archived them in their official records, where they still are today. So what's in the files? Claims of recovered alien bodies and details about a cover-up operation after Roswell. One memo says, "The Roswell crash, which occurred July 7, 1947, involved a craft not of this earth, and bodies recovered were alien in origin." Public knowledge of these incidents would cause panic and chaos. It is imperative all information remain classified indefinitely. There are also mentions of secret bases and ongoing alien contact. To this day, no one knows if the documents are real, fake, or disinformation, but the FBI took them seriously enough to investigate. Operation Northwoods. In 1962, top U.S. military leaders came up with a shocking plan called Operation Northwoods. The idea was to stage fake terrorist attacks inside the United States to make the public support a war against Cuba. The plans included very specific fake attacks like bombing American cities, hijacking planes, and even killing innocent people, then blaming it all on Cuba. The goal was to create fear and anger so the government could justify invading Cuba. Luckily, President John F. Kennedy rejected the plan before it could happen. Even though it never went into action, the fact that the military seriously considered such a brutal deception shows how far they were willing to go during the Cold War. Operation Wandering Soul. In the Vietnam War in the late 1960s, the U.S. Army created a series of audio recordings known as Ghost Tape 10. These tapes exploited traditional Vietnamese beliefs about the afterlife, aiming to demoralize the Viet Cong by simulating the voices of their dead comrades. The recordings featured eerie sounds like ghostly voices and screams to scare enemy soldiers into surrendering. The tapes were played over loudspeakers mounted on helicopters or placed near enemy positions, especially during the night. This strategy was intended to create an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. Unit 731. At the end of World War II, a horrifying Japanese military program called Unit 731 was uncovered. It was a secret research facility where doctors and scientists carried out unspeakable experiments on live human beings, mostly Chinese civilians and Allied prisoners of war. Victims were infected with deadly diseases, just to see how long it would take them to die. Some had their limbs amputated without anesthesia. People were frozen, burned, poisoned, and used to test biological and chemical weapons. You'd think the people responsible would face justice when the war ended, but that's not what happened. Instead, the US government secretly gave immunity to the scientists and officers who ran Unit 731 because America wanted their research and didn't want it falling into Soviet hands. The US believed that the data, however horrifying, could be useful for biological warfare research. So the deal was simple. Hand over everything you've learned and you walk free. For decades, the US denied it ever happened. But slowly documents were declassified, witnesses came forward, and historians confirmed the truth. It's now known as one of the most disturbing government cover-ups in modern history. Human radiation experiments. In the 1940s, at the dawn of the nuclear age, the US government wanted to know exactly what radiation did to the human body. But instead of running safe lab tests, they decided to experiment on people, often without telling them. Between the 1940s and 1970s, doctors and scientists backed by government agencies secretly exposed hundreds of civilians to radiation. Some were hospital patients, others were pregnant women, prisoners, or even children. Many of them were told they were getting regular medical treatment, but in reality, they were part of a massive human experiment. In one infamous case, patients were injected with plutonium, one of the most toxic substances on Earth, just to track how it moved through the body. In another, children at a Massachusetts school were fed oatmeal laced with radioactive isotopes, all under the guise of a nutrition study. For decades, these experiments were buried in classified files. It wasn't until the 1990s that the truth finally came out. The government eventually admitted what happened and issued formal apologies, but many of the victims had already died without ever knowing the truth.